Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters, heirs, joint heirs, adopted, grafted, natural, spiritual, wherever, whomever you may be, whether you're part of the original stock or whether you are a spiritual grafted in, it doesn't matter. Everybody must become Israel. Everybody must keep Torah. Everybody. Regardless of creed, color, shape, size, nation, tongue, it don't matter. Everybody has to become Israel. So, how you doing, Ricky? I named this, when I got in the car, Brother Rodney, I hope that you got my email. How you doing, Miss B? How you doing, Nokra? Rick, Miss B, Nokra, Rodney, Rick. So I call this, don't blame the fathers. No, blame the fathers, not the masters. How you doing, Wardy P? Blame the fathers, not the masters. So let's get into this discussion. Because this is History Month. And some people call it Black History. I quit calling it Black History. I call it, if you're going to make it Black History, meaning like our history, I started calling it Biblical History because that's where our history began. Now, let me just say this, and it's not going to sit well with a lot of people. I know it. But I have good reason to say what I'm going to say, so I'm going to say it. The biggest reason why you have a lot of these camps on the street corners hollering and screaming at people for putting people on a ship and slavery and all like that, the reason why they do that, because they just don't know any better. They really don't know any better. So I'm just going to put that out there. Now I got to prove it. I have to prove it, but I'm just going to say it. Some people, and Israel has been foolish for giving up the Most High and coming back into the Most High. They are still just as foolish as they can be. Okay? Somebody said uncontrollable anger. I hope nobody's going to beat me up over this, but thank you. How make plans to come here to fellowship with the class here this summer? Wardy P, where are you? Where are you? So I know where I need to come at. Let me know, because I would be more than happy to. More than happy to. This is what, like the convention, Kentucky. Like the convention, Kentucky Israelites. Okay, Memphis, Tennessee. Great, great, great. And I would love to. And by the way, the conference coming up in High Point, I said it earlier. Oh, the IOG class in Memphis. Man, I was just online and I saw you all's class on Google Earth. Phenomenal, phenomenal what you all are doing. That place is humongous. This is about, okay, this is why you can't give a whole bunch of understanding without it being dissected, because people are on the corner hollering, screaming at people because the Lord's going to do this because you put us into slavery and you did this and you did that. But the finger, we never look at what we did. It just bothers me. We're not getting to the root issue. And we have taken the energy to go after people, which is so unproductive. It is the most unproductive practice I've ever seen in my life. And I was almost embarrassed what I saw on Fox News. And you watching, going up to people and saying, yeah, look at this Edomite, and look at this and look at that, and look at these people, and cursing. It makes you almost embarrassed to say that you are Hebrew. It really does. It almost makes you embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I really am. I am who I am because I am who I am. And the scriptures say who I am. But I just want us to think, because this is Black History Month. And I'm not going to let up off of it. And I know it's going to rattle some cages. But why are we not looking and sitting down and saying, what did our forefathers do to bring this curse upon us? Thank you, Wardy P. Thinking out loud says the Bible. Well, he deleted that message. John Williams says they act more like Jews than Christians. Yeah, I mean, listen, let me just say this. The forefathers of Israel refused to obey the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. They refused, just refused outright, after warning, after warning, after warning, after warning. And he tells you what's going to happen to you if you don't obey. This is how much sense this makes. You ever tell a kid, those of you that are parents or you've been a guardian, and maybe you have been told when you were little, don't touch the stove, it will burn you. The stove is innocent. The stove has the nature and of it itself. It gets heat, it heats up, and it gets hot. And anything that touches it, it's going to get burned. Whether it's a pot full of water or whether it's your hand that accidentally touches the burner, it's going to get burned. But does it make sense to go get a hammer because the stove burnt you after you were told not to, and get a hammer and I'm just going to go in there and destroy this $500 stove? Doesn't make any difference. Rick says there's bad apples in every bunch. We cannot let those apples spoil the whole bunch. Absolutely. We have a lot of work to do, but it's not grievous. It's not. Will Fishburne, good afternoon. How you doing, Brother Will? We have to be obedient and not embarrassing. Humble ourselves. Thank you, Anita. Warm sought fidelity in Yah says shalom. So here's my issue. It's Black History Month, okay? It's Black History Month. Let's start to wake up a little bit, and I'm going to actually reach out to some of these brothers. Well, when I come back from the conference, and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to say, I want to have a one-on-one, just one Hebrew to the next, and I'm going to ask, what are you getting? What is the goal? How is it productive to go take a hammer and beat up the stove that burnt you when you were told by the parent that if you do this, then this is going to happen? It just doesn't make sense. So that's why I titled this, Blame the Fathers, Not the Masters. You cannot blame when the Almighty says, you have children and they will be sold into slavery. Somebody has to take those children. Somebody has to put them in slavery. That's just the way it is. There's nothing you, me. He spoke it. He told Israel that's what's going to happen. If you do this, then. It's a then statement. In Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verses 1 through 14, it lists, if you do this, then I'm going to do all of this. And it lists 14 verses worth of blessings. And then 15 is the conditional verse. But if you will not hearken to his voice and do all that he said do, all of these curses will come upon you. All of them. And so he lists them all. He lists every last one of them. And these are some of the things we're going to be covering at the conference. And I get to the point now, I'm going to tell you guys, I do not argue with anybody who's Israel that we Israel. I am not arguing. I don't even, I'll show you in the scriptures who the people of the book is, but I'm not arguing with people because I guess your patience gets a little worn out, but it can't. And I'm just talking this way right now. And I'm sure that I'm going to get soft-hearted because our goal is to wake up our people. It really is. But I can tell you one thing. Once I come and I try to sit down and show you, and people, well, that's not true, and that's, you know, I'm not going through that. Because it's like this. If the Almighty wants to open up your eyes, he will open up your eyes. That's it. He will open up your eyes. And if you don't want to listen and hear, that's it. You cannot. This is Israel. This is who. This. If you want to know who Israel is, look at the most hard-headed, most difficult, challenging people on the face of this earth. Just look for them. And it's and we're called Negroites or Israels. That's who we are. Because you can show people. You can open up the Bible and say, do me a favor. Show me December the 25th in the scriptures. And they can't find it. Then you can show them an encyclopedia and show them where Christmas came from, and Israel is still going to say, well, my mama did it, my dad, ain't nothing wrong with it, my mama and them did it, and I don't know why you making a big issue. Let me tell you something. Moses got so angry with Israel. He really did. Even God got angry with Israel. He said, go down, Moses, and get your people. And Moses, when God was going to destroy them, Moses had to say, wait a minute, Lord. I know. They're the most hard-hearted, stiff-necked, most rebellious people. You could show them how powerful you are, and they're still not going to get it. Somebody said it's a bird box. You trip on the stumbling block if you ain't approved in the world. Lean not to my own understanding. It's a bird box. You trip on the stumbling block if you ain't approved in the world. Lean not to your own understanding. Okay, Brother John, I didn't quite get that, but or the prison system along with the scriptures stating this would happen, signs and wonders. You know, the scriptures is so full of telling us what would happen, and you could go page by page, scripture by on the court, screaming and hollering at people who don't even know what happened back then. Listen, how are you going to go screaming and hollering at folk who don't know nothing about the transatlantic slave trade? And you know how come I know? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how come people don't know. If you ask people who is the first black female, Kamala Harris, and they'll say, oh, she's going to be the first black female to run for president. No, she's not. Shirley Chisholm ran for president. And you ask people who's Shirley Chisholm, they don't even know. Don't even know. So do you think people are going to know? Do you really think people are going to know about anything else? I've saw on some news segments, they'll go out there and ask people, who was the 16th president? I don't know. I mean, they ask college students, white college students, on in a downtown area near the campus, and they was asking students, do you know how laws are passed? I'm not quite for sure. Really. If you ask some of these millennials and the Xbox generation who Nancy Pelosi is, they don't know. And they're going to know. So you talking to kids on the street. They was up in D.C., Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, my people, talking to people as if your fathers did this and they did that. You think these kids know what you're talking about? They have no idea. I mean, really. And I'm not saying that people don't have, they are not prejudiced or are prejudiced. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you're going to be asking them about a civil rights movement, they have no idea what you're talking about. They just don't. So do you think people are going to understand who Israel is and what the No. You got to read that stuff in the scriptures. And the problem is, here's the problem. Somebody is teaching people that we're Israel, and you're not going the next step further to say, this is why we got into this predicament. And so all you're saying is, yeah, they put us into slavery and they did this and they did that, but we Israel. And the Most High, he's going to come and get us in the land where we've been scattered to. And he's going to gather us one by one. And he's going to whip all those nations that came up against us. Somebody says, does it matter if they know or not? It doesn't matter that these kids need to know anything about world history. It's not. What's important is Israel know world history. Israel needs to know that their history does not begin in America. Their history is that Bible. That's what Israel needs to know. And they need to go back and show that not only, here's your history. This is who you was. This is the relationship that you had with the Most High God before your fathers broke the covenant. That's all Israel needs to know. When you get that much information and you can digest it and show Israel, this is your history. And once you show them their history and you say, well, this is what happened to us and they did it. No. How do we get back to in covenant agreement with the Most High? That's what I want to know. How do we get back into covenant agreement? So now that I know who I am, how do I get back into covenant agreement? How do I become the person that gets the promises that is according to the scriptures? Now I'm going to read a couple of things here because I don't want to. John Williams says, New Living Translation, anyone who is destined for prison will be taken to prison. Anyone destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. This means that God's holy people must Heartbeat 1555. Heartbeat says, does it matter if they know or not? Rodney Frederick says, doesn't Revelation 13 and says those who lead into captivity will go into captivity? Yes, it does, Ricky. It does say that. And I'm not taking away from that. And I'm not taking away from Zechariah, the 1st and 2nd chapter, when Zechariah asked the question, who are these? And they said, he says, I don't know. He says, these are 4 carpenters. What did they come to? What are they for? He says, they come to fray the nations that have scattered Israel. That's what they say. And so, yes, that's important. But what I'm concerned about, and here's my concern, here's my issue, is that we're out there, instead of learning how to get back to the covenant agreement, what we're doing is out there fighting a battle that you're not going to even fight. That battle is not yours. That's the Almighty's battle. He said, and if you all get a chance to read Zechariah, the 1st and 2nd chapter, he said, these are 4 carpenters, and they're going to come and fray the nations that scattered Israel. I was just a little displeased, but the nations took it far. And we know the nations took it far. And we know the nations are going to have to deal with that. No ifs, ands, and buts. Wardy P says 16 president, who cares? And it's not important, but here's my point, Wardy P. Here's my point, is that people, when you go out there on the street corner, and you're fussing at people and say, hey, you an Edomite, and you going to be whipped, and this is going to happen to you, and that's going to happen to you. And these people are looking at you like, for what? Because of what your fathers did. Now, when you're talking to these kids, whether they white or whatever, they're going to look at you and say, well, what did my daddy do? What are you talking about? Well, they put us into slavery. Some of these kids might ask you when. Seriously. Because it's not being taught in school. It's not the curriculum. Slave trade is not the curriculum in school. In quite a few schools, it's not. Black history is the curriculum, but the slave trade is not the curriculum in most schools. So you're talking to people about a beating that they forefathers did, and they don't have no idea what you're talking about. So that's why I say you're doing something that's putting forth more energy that to me is unproductive. No, it's not. Let me see. International Standard Version. If anyone is to be taken into captivity, he would go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword, I got you. Yes. I said our ancestors knew who they were and still broke the covenant. We must do the works and endure with patience. And John Williams, that is true. Whoever is meant to be captured will surely be captured. Whoever is meant to be killed by the sword will surely be killed. Well, let me just tell you this, because you're going into different versions of the scriptures. Both Paleo-Hebrew and the New Testament is in Greek, but the Paleo-Hebrew, which is translated into Arabic and Greek, all indicate that the issue is Zechariah, the 1st and 2nd chapter, are very clear, very clear. Zechariah saw 4 carpenters. He wanted to know who the 4 carpenters were. What did they come to do? And the angel of the Lord spoke very clearly. They come to fray the nations that have scattered Israel. And he says, I was a little displeased. I was a little sore, but they furthered it. And yeah, that's evident in where it's at. But at the same time, the scriptures also say that you can't tell people there is no salvation for you because of what your parents did. It don't work that way. Ezekiel, the 18th chapter, is very clear. Let me say this again. Ezekiel, the 18th chapter, is very clear. And this is what it says. A father has to stand for the father, and a son has to stand for the son. And the father's righteousness can't be looked on to the Son, and the Son's unrighteousness can't be passed on to the Father. Read that whole chapter, Ezekiel 18th chapter. He says every soul is going to have to stand accountable. Every soul. And he that is wicked is going to have to be dealt with, and he that is righteous is going to be dealt with accordingly. So that's the way that works. So here's my issue. Here's my issue. And here's what I'm saying. Let's say you got a young Hebrew boy, 18 years old. He just comes into the truth. Oh, wow, that Bible's about me. Okay? And let's say that he has a friend who is from England, white Englishman. Okay? And he learns that he's a Hebrew. But the white English guy says, wow, you're changing your faith. You're no longer Catholic or Protestant. Wow, what are you doing now? I know you go to the services on the Sabbath. And he says, yeah, I realize that I'm the people of the book. Really? And he sits down and explains to him, and he understands, wow, man, this is good stuff. And that kid says, you know, I want to study more with you. And this Bible says, the scripture says, if a stranger or a sojourner wants to join themselves to Israel, the same law that's for Israel is the same law for the stranger and those that want to sojourn with Israel. What are you going to say? Are you going to tell the kid because he's from England and Spain had a lot to do with slavery that you can't make it, man? You can't make it because your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather caused my great-great-great-grandfather to he put him on a ship against his will and put him into slavery. So salvation is not for you. That is my problem. That's my problem right there. That's my problem. Because we as Israel have to take ownership. Our forefathers, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, before they came to America, God's people, Israel, refused to do what the Most High said do. You cannot change that. You can't escape it. You cannot not teach it. You can't pass over it. You're still going to have to deal with that. Because the scriptures say that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, that is what's going to heal your land. Coming into all of this knowledge does not heal you. Blaming other people does not heal you. Turning from your wicked ways will heal you. It's just that simple. It's just not, I'm not concerned. I'm not going to spend not 1 ounce of energy on the street corner waiting for somebody to come by me that don't look like me so I can tell them how I really feel about what they did. I'm not going to do that. That's just me. But what I will do is I will, especially during Black History Month, I will educate as many people as I can to say, did you know that this Bible is your history? Did you know that your history began in the Bible? Did you know that our forefathers created a covenant, entered into a covenant agreement with God, and we are God's people? We are the apple of his eye. Now that I will share. I'll do that. Okay. True indeed. Heartbeat says they fell. We are being punished for that fall. Yes. Warmth sought, fidelity in Yah. This order she's into. Okay. Open Diary. Israelite YouTuber shows to have a no-nonsense belief, but still a believer, as all of us trying to find our way to Yahuwah, saying Yah's kingdom would be organized in this order: 144,000 Israelites, gentle Israelite, heathen servants, handmaids who were willing to serve and fear the Yah, and slaves that were not willing, and the nations. Okay, I'm coming in on the tail on the end of that, so it's difficult for me to make a comment on it. Ricky says the most important understanding of the Bible is Isaiah 28, 9 and 10. Precept upon precept, line upon line. John Williams says Jeremiah 15 and 2, and it shall come to pass, if they should say unto you, where should we go forth? Then you should tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as are for death, to death, as such as for the sword. And I think that might be in connection what I was talking about in Ezekiel. Anita said, this is very true, Pastor. Yes, Ricky says, forward the affliction. Yep, they helped forward the affliction. It went too far. Yes. So I had to just leave this because it is History Month. It's Hebrew History Month. It's Black History Month. And it's important that people understand the truth. Black history did not begin in in Jamestown, Virginia. That's not where it began. And it didn't begin on a ship on the west coast of Africa. It began way before then. It goes all the way back to Mount Sinai. It goes all the way back to when Abraham started, whose father was an idol god maker. That's where our history starts. It goes, that's our cradle. That is when we, as Israel, through Abraham, entered into a covenant agreement. But let me just say this. If you want to be technical about it, it actually began with Adam, because Adam failed to eat of the tree of life. So mankind, period, has been doomed as a result of that. But if you want to go into why we're in this predicament, why we're the number one in all health issues, why we're the number one in prisons, and yet we're the least of the population, it's because of our forefathers. And we have to say it the way it is. Quit blaming other people. Quit fussing at other people. Quit doing all of that. Strangely, I met a brother, Wati. He's over in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he is from the Igbo tribe. And he says that another African Hebrew brother told him that he was up in New York and he came across a One West group. And he went up to them to introduce himself to them and told them, they said, you got an accent. Where are you from? And he says, well, I'm from Africa. And they said, you from Africa? You're a Hamite. And let me tell you something. God's going to do this to you and God's going to do that to you because your forefathers sold us into slavery. And he says, well, wait a minute. I'm from the Igbo tribe. Are you from Africa? Yeah, but I'm from the Igbo tribe. Are you from Africa? And he kept saying, yeah, but I'm from the Igbo tribe. And they said, are you African? He said, well, yeah. They said, you're not us. And then they read him the dictionary of what a Hamite was. And it says that Ham is the father, the progenitor of all dark races. And he named them all, except for the Negro. He said, so you see, we're the Negroes. And in America, we're the Negroes. You are Ham. And you're going to be punished by God, just like Edom is. And the guy says, but I'm Igbo. He said, is that the name of your tribe? Well, you know, it don't matter what tribe you are, you from Ham. And these guys didn't have enough sense to even know that the Igbo tribe is Hebrew. They still practice the Torah today. And I'm saying, fools on the street corner. I said it. And y'all can tell them I said it. Fools on the street corner. It don't make no sense. You didn't even know a Hebrew when you saw one. You're just so caught up on the rhetoric. And a lot of these guys just say things out of rhetoric. They just start saying it. They have no idea what they're saying. They just start saying what everybody else said. Read. You know, I tell you, I love Israel. I love who I am. But I tell you, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And I think the Almighty is calling a lot of people in these days of the awakening to really bring a lot of people. And there's so many people coming up out of these camps because these camps are into multiple wives. And then you got the sisters on there, all these multiple wives, sisters. They don't went and got a YouTube channel because they say, oh, it's all about the sex and these guys, what they doing. You guys have no idea. It's appalling is what I got to say. That's all I got to say. And Israel, I understand why the scripture says only a remnant of Israel is going to make it. Here's a piece of paper. This is a remnant. This is Israel. Only a remnant. That's it. Because this foolishness out here is just ridiculous. Ridiculous. And there's a lot of things I'm learning. There's a lot of things that I sit and open up my understanding to. But that is bad teaching. That teaching is just as bad as telling people that Santa Claus is coming down the Christmas tree. Just as bad. It's not our role. It's not our message. Our message on the street. And I'm not saying the Most High is not going to do what he said he's going to do. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying our message should be the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's the only message that we should be putting out there. That's it. And when you grab these little young boys off the street and show them who they are and give them a little hope, and you know you doing nothing but putting anger, if you ask them what is the plan to salvation, they don't know. If you ask them what the feast days mean, they don't know. They don't know. If you ask them, do you know how to determine when the feast days are? Do you know why they have Passover first before you have Feast of Unleavened Bread? They don't know. And it's important to know why Passover comes before Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's very important to know that. Very important to know that. But when you out there with anger and you're not learning, we got a problem. And the book is delivered to him. Ricky, I love this, brother. And the book is delivered to him that is unlearned, saying, read this, I pray. And he said, I'm unlearned. So I like that scripture. He gives it to somebody else and say, I can't read it because it's sealed. Thank you, Brother Ricky. I want to say this to all of you all. I think it was important for me to say what I needed to say because I want us to step up. I really want us to step up. And the reason why I brought up history is because if we don't know history and what history did and what history is about, especially our history in the scriptures, we'll never be able to improve tomorrow. And the only way our condition is going to change, the scriptures does not lie. It will not lie. If my people return from their wicked ways, humble themselves and pray, I will heal their land and I will heal their people. But also remember this. In the book of 2 Kings, we will never be a nation until the Messiah returns. But what the king of Israel said, if you, in the land where you have been scattered, no matter where you are, face Jerusalem and pray. This is, and then turning back to him, he will hear you. That's what he said. This is why Daniel in captivity went up to his room and faced Jerusalem and did his prayer. He knew what to do. So it doesn't matter where in the world you have been scattered. Israel, I'm talking to natural Israel, because natural Israel can help spiritual Israel. Natural Israel, when you face Israel, face Jerusalem, and in South Florida, I face the east. Not because it's the sun, it's because that's where Jerusalem is, to the east of me. And when you do that and return to the Most High, he will hear your prayers and he will heal the things that you have control over. He will heal your marriage. He will heal your finances. He will heal your home front. Everything that's within your gates will be healed. If you take the hymn, and start to do and return back to him, he cannot lie. He cannot lie. He has to do it. This is why in Malachi he says, prove me now. Prove me now. So God is telling you, you can test me. You can prove me. So Drama Queen, shalom. How you doing? That is a problem. They give us their history. He who conquers gets to tell the stories. Lies the way they want to. And absolutely, this is why we have to really go into the scriptures and read it. One of the things I'm going to be doing this weekend, when I go up to High Point, the first thing I'm going to start is, this is not a hatred seminar. This is a seminar that says, do you know who you were? Do you know what your forefathers were doing prior to stepping a foot on the slave ship? Do you know? This is who you were. And this is the agreement that was given to us. And this is what we must do in order to get back there. And let me tell you, every day we should learn. Every day we should learn. I was reading Exodus, the 23rd chapter the other day. Last night, as a matter of fact. And in the 23rd chapter, he started talking about the concept of 7. And he says, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. The 7th day is the Sabbath. 6 years shall you grow land, but on the 7th year you should rest. And I said, wow, 3 times a year shall all males appear. And each one of those feast days are sequences and series of 7. He's trying to tell us something. Now, I looked at that and I said, if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I could not have given you the importance of understanding the sequence of 7. But I thank the Almighty that although I've been keeping the Sabbath and feast days all my life, I did not understand that. And I'm sure if I continue in this word, I'm going to find some other things that are going to connect the dots. And this is what it's all about. This is a lifestyle. That's what this is. All that being said, thank you all for letting me have 45 minutes of your time. I won't be coming back on today, I know, but I just wanted to open this up on the 5th of February because this is Black History Month. And I wanted to really dive into some of the things that I'm getting a little frustrated about, not at the individuals that's doing it, because they're only doing what they have been introduced to do. So I'm not blaming them, but I want to really have the energy to sit down and go over some of this, because we've got some of those camps here in South Florida. We do. And I want to go over there, and I want to make it my business after High Point during this month to go over and sit down with some brothers and sit down and go where they are. I know where they camp at. I know where they go on the street corner at. And I want to go there, and I really want to create a dialogue. Not on the corner. Not on the corner. Let's get this straight also, that we got to not do. We have to make sure that our discussions and debates are closed door and not in the open for public scrutiny. So if we disagree, we have to do it in a one-on-one and behind closed door. We don't let other nations see us having a debate. That's entertainment for other people. And I refuse to allow that to happen. I do. I won't even debate a Christian brother about the first day versus the seventh day in a forum that other nations could see the debate. I won't do it. I won't do it. I'll do it with his staff and my staff, but something that's going to be televised so somebody can make somebody look bad, no, that's not my nature. It's not my style. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. It's unproductive. It really is. We can do it closed doors. If he wants to, hey, let's put this up for, I may consider that, but other than that, don't want to do it. So, all that being said, in-house, keep it among us. Thank you, Pastor Johnson. Shalom, and thank you, Pastor. Thank you all, too. We'll talk soon. I'm going to pick up my little baby.